since we're doing it for BitShares, if anybody in the community from BitShares is here and is working on anything or would like us to talk about something during the day, it's time when. I don't want them to necessarily know that we don't start at this time, if that makes any sense. Like, so people show up regardless thinking that it starts now, because it does start. But it's more like, okay, let's get it organized. Let's get, our own thing.
More informal. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I wanted to do it with everybody in the same room, so we kind of, hey, I'm having a problem with this. Can everybody help me real quick get it done? If everybody has different things like that, or there's a number of different things that we could, I'm doing this, and this. Oh, have you thought about changing it to this? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Let's do that before the hangout, before we start talking about stuff, right?
Right. Sure. I mean, I think as long as it's clear, it's the warm up. Just in case people are coming to, coming to attend to hear the regular discussion. Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. Which I will say, for everybody who's here early on, I'm planning on giving them some tokens if they're here early on and participating. One big thing that I want to see every week, I'm going to try to start getting everybody to start posting various cool things that they see in the BitShares ecosystem and giving them like a little bounty on it. And different things like this. I'm trying to think of ways that we can make it so the community will do all the stuff that it needs to do and actually get paid for it in the process. Have you guys heard anything? Sorry, this is a little bit off topic, but have you guys heard anything about Steemit Inc. wanting to buy a bunch of BitShares or buy into BitShares or clone BitShares?
Not me.
Say what?
I say I haven't heard anything about it.
No, me neither.
Hello. First, am I audible today?
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
Yesterday, I noticed a comment from Dan in EOS forum, saying that there's a very little shared code between BitShares and EOS, and he was not really happy with the shady marketing techniques of BitShares. That's what I saw in EOS forum.
Okay.
I will, of course, with it to make it better, but if you guys could go there and add anything that you think is valuable or necessary that we haven't covered, feel free. And if you need any help, this is the time to let people know. If you're needing any help with projects or, anything like that right now, would be a good time to talk about it. Stuff that we can bring up in the hangout later on.
First, as far as the suicide awareness campaign project is concerned, the project plan is ready and the execution plan is already posted through EOS forums, EOS talk. And today we will be presenting the same. And we have got on board a fantastic curator and the core members who are very aligned with the topic. And we want your support going on from now to make this a success.
Well, I look forward to hearing a little bit more about it today, buddy. That'll be during the Beyond Bitcoin hangout, though, just so you're aware, right? Go ahead and check out this post, everybody. Let everybody else know who hangs out with you in this space and does the crypto scene type of stuff with you. Let them know that we're going to be doing this, that we're starting this up here in about 45 minutes for starting the actual Hangout, but we are currently in the middle of the warm-up. I'm going to go blow my nose. I'll be right back. So what would you guys say if I told you that we could get chain BB based forums for BitShares and that we have them almost ready?
I would say you're very productive.
Would you guys be happy to hear about that? Or would you guys be not happy to hear about that?
When you say guys, I guess you include the girls too.
Of course. Guys, in America, when you say guys, it's like, it actually doesn't really mean you have you're talking about guys and girls. It's just like everybody. Hey guys, what's up, guys? I don't know why. It's kind of interesting, though, whenever I talk to somebody from another country, how they bring up those little intricacies that are a little bit odd.
Yeah, there's no gender neutral version of
No,
y'all, maybe.
y'all's a good one. I like y'all, but that's apparently racist. I don't know how.
Is it?
If you're in the South, if you're a
Okay.
Southern bumpkin, apparently you're racist these days. If you grew up on a farm.
My Pennsylvania friends would say yuns also works.
Yep. Are you from Pittsburgh?
No, I'm not. Just some friends.
Oh, I guess Washington, D.C. isn't that far away, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, so back to your question. I don't use the forums a lot, so I can't really comment either way.
My feeling on it was kind of like, we have these forums, but people don't get paid to post to them. So ever since Steam happened, there's not really an incentive for the majority of the community to continue posting to forums that don't pay them. So it's like, if we can get forums that do pay them, and they're on the Steam blockchain, there's benefits to this, but there's also the negative that Ned controls a huge stake in Steam, and that opens us up to, I don't know if there would ever be a time where the controlling stake in Steam would be used against us because it's seen as a threat in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if that's something that would happen or not, but I think that it's a possibility, right? So,
Well,
Okay.
maybe you could elaborate on that, because I think there are possibly two aspects to this. One is kind of the upvoting of a particular comment or downvoting of a comment. But then a separate thing could be whether the post by somebody writing on the forums, quote unquote, would be censored. If it's not going to be censored, which I don't think it's possible because it's actually on the underlying chain, maybe that's not so critical.
I hope that's the case. On the other side, I say it's also possible. What if some random whale account starts coming along and downvoting everything that happens? Like, it literally just hovers and sits over BitShares talk and downvotes everything. It wouldn't censor people the way that it works, I'm pretty sure. But what it would do is it would significantly cut payouts. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen or not. I'm just saying, it's not a panacea. It's a great idea, but it might have downsides too. But I'm I'm very interested in doing something with it, especially if we can have it where it cross posts to multiple different Steam based chains. But that's something I'm looking at later.
Right.
Yeah, right. Exactly, Taco. Exactly. Right.
If I can say something, is very at this moment is difficult because on this EOS talk you have to actually post things about EOS. Otherwise, it will be very handy, but it needs more forms. I mean, for me personal, like a common user, will be easier to go in this forum and search by category. You understand what I mean?
Yes, yes. The way that they use the data from the blockchain and structure it, it makes it more like a forum experience, which really does change the user experience from a Reddit style board completely.
Yes, I would like to see the post in certain categories and the other point is in these forums you can see it by views and comments, not by payout, which is totally the one of the things I don't like in Steemit.
Yeah, it's another good point. I think the user interface of a forum, especially if multiple different communities have forums, is a very solid way to help Steam to utilize what its mama gave it or papa gave it, I guess.
Also, you don't have the problem when you search by category in Steemit. When you search there, you see the most paid post. After this, it's cut out. Maybe you see 7 days posts, and maybe after this you see 2 hours old ones, and it's totally not any order. I mean, people need some chronological order, isn't it so?
Yeah, I think I agree. That is a valuable aspect of the forums as opposed to Steam.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice? This is the way I look at it. Everybody on those forums would probably, if our forums were on Steam or on chain, we're using ChainBV rather. If our forums were using ChainBV and everybody is earning money potentially on multiple Steam-based chains for everything that they post, and they can actually find out, oh, the people in Golos seem to upvote my stuff a lot more than the people on Steam, or so on and so forth, right? You essentially make it so we can get paid quite a bit of money. Every average everyday user could make quite a bit of money just posting to the forums, you know?
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with the technical background of the forum approach that you're taking, but is there a concern about bots in terms of posting random, unrelated content?
Yes. We'll have to see what happens with it. That's a dang good question. We're running the EOS talk forums right now. We haven't seen anything like that, but of course we're very early, and we're going to be connecting up ShareBits to it because ShareBits is almost ready. So we're going to be able to use the BitShares chain to essentially tip on these forums. So I suspect we will be tested soon, Falconator. I hope that that this is something that the entire Steam community maybe can help with in some way, shape, or form. But maybe we have to talk to Jesta and see what kind of moderation tools are there yet, because he's not quite finished. He said he still has quite a bit of stuff to do with the forums. So that might or might not be there. It's a damn good question, though. One I'll have to look into.
Okay.
First, I have used forums for 2 of my posts, and there are few considerations that I would like to bring to your notice. First thing is, it is really hard for me to put my images in the post when I'm doing it through forums. I may be wrong with this, but it would have been great if there is an image drag and drop with the forums as well. Second important point is with the general discussions that we post, EOS comes as a primary tag, and you can't take off that tag. This may be a hindrance if you are trying to post a topic of something other than EOS. So EOS can be a default tag. If it can be made as an optional tag, it would be really great. Apart from that, excellent interface and excellent user experience. Only these two things that I would like to bring.
Well, I talked to Jesta. Jesta is the guy who actually created it. So what I would do if I were you is I would reach out to @Jesta and let him know. I'll obviously bring these things up to him as well. But just double check and make sure, because I have a lot of things that I intend to do, and I have a lot of things on that priority list. And this is one that I will put on there, but I can't tell you exactly when I'll get to it. But keep up with me behind the scenes on this, and we'll talk to Jesta about some of the different things that you're seeing too. See what he thinks
Sure,
about
because one of the
titles.
chain forums was not integrated with our EOS talk, and I had brought it to his notice. Actually, we will take this up as well with him and see what best can be done.
And you're saying that Steemit supports the drag and drop of a picture?
Yes, it absolutely supports the drag and drop of the picture, and it's a very easy thing to do.
Wow.
From the
something new
past
every day.
two posts, what I'm doing is I'm trying to post the text through EOS forums and then go back to Steemit and add the images. It is literally impossible for me to add the images through EOS talk.
Well, I won't say literally impossible, but it's literally more difficult for you. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, it is a very tough task. So what I do is I post the text on the EOS forum, keep the post ready. Immediately when the post appears on the Steemit, I upload my images.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Okay, I never used this option, so maybe this for I didn't realize for the images. I mean,
Be right back. I'm gonna get a drink.
Guys, am I audible?
Yes, I heard you.
Thank you.
Was that you, Ride?
Yes, that was me checking my mic on my headset. Thanks a lot.
Yep, sounds good. Hello, right? I saw your comment about uploading an image, and I believe are you asking about on Steam? Rather on Steemit?
No, I was talking to EOS Talk.
Okay.
Stream it's pretty straightforward. You can just drag and drop your image and it's all done. But with EOS Talk, we kind of have a complication. We just wanted to get it resolved.
Makes sense.
Is anybody speaking now?
I think no.
So you can hear me. Thank you.
Yeah, but you were very low volume.
There we go. Now, man, this thing is acting very strange. Not a lot of talking and a whole lot of meeting going on here. Is people doing something?
Well, I'm actually just reviewing different things to maybe talk about on during the main Hangout.
I see. All right. Well, I was having some problems with the push to talk was not working, but it looks like
You're
it's
good.
working now.
Yep, you're sounding good, buddy. You're sounding good.
All
You're
right,
sounding
good.
a little bit loud, maybe, but maybe everybody else isn't having that problem.
I wouldn't be surprised if they are.
Does it sound like I've kind of got this one fixed?
Yeah, you sound
Yeah,
good.
Fuzzy, you're sounding good.
Nice quality.
Okay.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, I could use some more tweaking. G chicken, and my sound needs some adjusting too. There's a certain machine quality that I heard in the recording that you made for me, G chicken, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of that. Appreciate the feedback. I'll just have to play around with it when we're not in this mumble. I'm going to leave it where it's at right now. It's There's quite a few adjustments to be made, but again, I think that there's a certain machine quality, or I think it's the sampling of the virtual machine, because it switches away to handle other virtual machines, that causes that quality that I heard in the recording you made. It's not overdriving. Sing you a song. Oh, well, I'm not sure that's going to be too good. I don't think I want to hurt everybody's ears that badly. Good morning, Joey. When are we going to hear your marvelous voice on here, G-Chicken? All right, well, I can understand. Not everybody wants to be out in the public ear. So, since we're kind of waiting around, getting people up to speed, et cetera, anybody have any thoughts about the Bitcoin hard fork potential? I know T-Bone was on Telegram last night talking about how he didn't think it was going to happen, and actually he had some pretty strong evidence for it, and I was watching some of the same evidence, so it was up really high. It doesn't look like it will to me either, but it's funny because I think I saw T-Bone commenting that, well, people shouldn't speak in absolutes as though they know for certain it's going to happen, but that's exactly what he was doing as well. So.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything intelligent about that, about likelihood and which way it might go. How about you?
Some of T-Bone's comments are that that I don't know if it was the Bitcoin Unlimited folks, but somebody was talking in terms of they know it's going to happen. And, you know, they were speaking kind of like what he was denouncing, saying that they're confident something is going to happen. So I don't know. I haven't paid that much attention to the whole debate. I have kind of rearranged my finances to prepay my server costs, et cetera, which I do with Bitcoin, and probably I will move some funds into a more of a safe haven at some point.
That makes sense. So Fuzzy, what are you thinking about for the agenda for the Hangout?
Well, we already have, I know CM Steam posted Did anybody post recently to it?
I did recently, but it's kind of a low priority topic, just a push for a GUI worker.
Let me go in and upvote it.
You mean to say from the US talk?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Was talking about the US forums, posting through it, or is it something else?
Forums?
Oh, so right, are you thinking about bringing up a topic for maybe the Beyond Bitcoin section?
No, I'll be speaking on the Well Tanks Hangout.
So the whale tank part, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, Fuzzy. Maybe do you want to talk about the agenda for that section, because that will be in approximately 80 minutes.
The agenda
I'll be
for
part of this Beyond Bit Hangout as well.
the agenda for Whale Tank. I can give you guys that right now. It's going to be Purity will be the beginning. After that would be NetD with Hair Shares, which is one of my favorites. Ride of Passion will be third, which is he's working with another thing that I'm in love with, which is suicide prevention stuff. I actually worked in that field, buddy. That's what I did for a long time, was suicide prevention. And then Lullaby, who's going to be talking about she's doing stuff for Steam charities, but I'm just going to probably be giving out a bunch of tokens to whoever has token created. But one thing that I would also urge you guys to consider, and something I'm going to be doing, if you guys help people make tokens that need tokens made, you can get a cut of earnings from that, right? So something worth considering would be helping people create tokens that will be shown on Whale Shares. I'm very much for charity, but I'm also very much for earning the money that for creating the value propositions that will allow us to support charities. So that's a very big thing. It's easy to give away, but it's hard to create it. You know,
Exactly.
it's easy to give somebody else's money away. So I want to start really being very careful about that and making sure that people take, it's easy to say, I'm just going to do this for charity and I'm not going to do anything else. Making a coin is something that has a value proposition is a tough thing. But the people who do it are going to learn some valuable lessons in the process and potentially make a lot of money someday with it. Nothing's easy though, right? Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post this. I have the proposed worker. I'd like to talk about it. I'm going to post it to, because these are various iterations, right? I thought we would have the worker in this week, but people keep adding cool, important things that we should add on to the form. So, with that said, let me go ahead and get everybody that. Talkinator, do you want to real quick go through and type up the agenda in the order that it is? It'll be the
Sure.
top.
Yeah,
it'll be the top. Thanks. It'll be the top few posts. I've already upvoted them, so I kind of know them from my inner mind. But while I'm posting this, because I'm going to post this and about the forums as well.
Nice work on that Huffington Post article there, Stan.
Yeah, that was a good article.
Thanks. Glad you liked it.
We were talking about it earlier and how it kind of has an edge to it against the Bitcoin enthusiasts, but kind of came back and pulled back from that at the end with a more of an apologetic tone. But I think it's pretty starkly there.
It's always hard to decide on the right balance there. I did want to have some edge because that little bit of edge is what gets eyeballs, and we're doing this to attract the world's attention. But we didn't want to be confrontational either. We wanted to try to be reasonable.
Absolutely, it is a hard balance to strike, and I mean you're right from the standpoint that any kind of an edge is going to stir up somebody's emotions, and you really kind of want an emotional appeal, even though that may be by some considering by playing hardball. It's still when you get people's emotions fired up, that's when you see action, and that's when you see things taken more seriously and attention paid.
Well, even if I had my local pastor rewrite it for me so that it was perfectly mellow and as nice as possible, it would still piss a bunch of people off. So might as well have an edge.
Might as well.
You might as well get something for it, right?
That's right. What we don't want to do is annoy the neutral people that are interested in a reasonable argument. That's the balance I was seeking. Come down on the side of being acceptable to people who don't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah. That's those people that are kind of on the fence. You want to rope them in. You don't want to push them away.
Anyhow, it'll give us something to keep BitShares in the news for the next few months till November.
Well, that's very important too. You got to keep our name out there. Otherwise, people forget. So having a constant, introduction of BitShares in various places, just to keep the hype up every place across the board, I think is a good strategy if you're going to win in the marketing realm. You have some pretty lofty goals. We have some pretty lofty goals. So I would say that that's definitely something we're going to have to do is just keep turning up the heat and keep adding more and more venues, and more discussion will come about hopefully from all that.
Imagine having the world arguing about whether Bitcoin should upgrade to 3-second transactions.
Well, that's something they're not going to be able to do, at least not before something else takes their place, I'm afraid.
Well, whatever it takes their place is going to be Bitcoin. It'll just be fast Bitcoin. But that's what I'm striving for here is nothing short of convincing the users of Bitcoin that they want 3-second transactions. And the only way to get that is to select a new development team.
Sadly.
But another thing that I enjoyed about just the whole idea was because it really made, it forced me to just reevaluate what does it mean to have any asset on any chain, and how, and what is the implication, or if it's significant at all, about moving from one platform to another. So it was very thought-provoking for me.
Yeah, the idea of divorcing a token from its platform. BitShares has demonstrated year after year that you can move the same token to better and better platforms. Now that we've established that, the question is, why are you staying on a 6-year-old platform? Move your token to the best technology.
Right, but I think even a little bit with the way I was thinking, and I'm sure that many of Bitcoin supporters that it's hard for them to disassociate the two, and furthermore, I think a lot of people value the platform. I think what you bring up for discussion is very interesting.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. The people who love the platform and love mining want a token that will allow them to do that. They love that, but that is a specialty kind of group. People who use Bitcoin just, for the sake of a token that they can pay with, don't care about that. They care about something that works. And so ultimately, is Bitcoin the name of a technology or the name of a currency that the world would like to adopt?
Right.
Yeah, what happens in November is just another opportunity to do a split. I think they may have avoided the one April or August 1st. We'll see, but there's still multiple opportunities out there, and given all the more performance increase they got, debate will go on about how to do better. That's just how they get through the current crisis and kick the can down the road a little bit. So November, we'll be all discussing this again. And all we're saying is, look, we're not going to try to break up Bitcoin, but if it breaks up, we're going to have our candidate there too.
I think that message came through loud and clear, and I thought that was the genius of the whole thing.
I got to go get a Coke. I'll be back in a minute.
Hey, Fuzzy, did you want to talk about a topic?
Yeah, if you reload your page, I made them so they're not first, but they're at the end. The two of them are. I wanted to talk about the proposal that I posted, which is over the course of a year, approximately 25K for split over 4 1-week campaigns on CoinMarketCap. And I'm going to see, including if you refresh it, it'll give a kind of a basic overview of what I'm planning on doing, the cost, and what the community will get out of it. Because I'm going to compile the data and stuff. And luckily, because of Whale Shares and Beyond Bits, I actually had the form created. I told them, I can't guarantee you guys anything for payment from a worker, but I can pay you these. And they were like, okay, so support that shit, guys. If you guys know people who have whale accounts in Steam and are very much interested in helping BitShares too, make sure that they know that they can create these tokens. I don't have it open up to the public like everybody yet because we're still testing it. But old school BitShares people who might be interested, I'll bring them on board for the closed beta if they want.
Okay.
I'm also going to be I'm going to be delegating 150K of my Steam power to a new token called EOS Bit, just so you guys know. And that's going to be for the EOS Talk forums. I'm trying to prepare the BitShares community as well by doing this. So I hope that everybody's considering these options, because we've got a news site that will run off of the Beyond Bitcoin site. Not the Beyond Bitcoin site, but the Beyond Bitcoin news template. We've got that will actually display the top trending things on forums. Yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff that's going on. So it's not just the forums. There's a lot more that ties in. Not everything I can talk about right now, though.
Okay. And by the way, my topic suggestion, I think, should have like lowest priority and can maybe be skipped for this week, because I think the other topics have concrete and interesting material. So I would suggest bumping up the others.
I mean, that's fine with me if you're okay with it. Now, I want to ask you real quick, do you want me to run it or do you want to run it? Because you are helping out a lot behind the scenes. I don't want you thinking that I've like taken this role away from you since I offered at the beginning. But at the same time, if you don't feel comfortable, you know I can do it.
Right. I think at the moment, I'm totally fine with you doing it. So if that's cool.
Dude, it's totally cool.
Okay. Oh,
this,
and
huh?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say it takes some getting used to.
Right. And I think at the moment, because the first topic is Bitcoin United, and I think Stan, since CM Steam is not, I don't think, available to chat, I don't think. Oh, is he? Oh, he is here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's a sneaky bugger.
All right.
So yeah, microphone check.
Yeah, hear you well.
Cool.
So perhaps you and or Stan would like to talk about that.
Yeah, I could talk about like the background of the idea, you know.
Great.
Okay, so you want me to start?
Not quite yet.
Yeah, we're not underway yet, right?
Nope, in about a minute. I'm just finishing real quick. I'm just going to go over, like I said in the very, well, not the very first one, but the last Hangout. I'm going to start going over the BitShares state of the network. Just going to really quickly run through it. It's going to take no more than 5 minutes in the beginning of every one of these Hangouts, and then we can go into the rest. And I would urge you guys to consider upvoting G-Chicken's content and supporting him. He's helped me a lot with a lot of stuff that he didn't need the help with, and I constantly see the guy doing stuff. So, and not to mention
that report he does is fantastic.
Yes.
There's so much information in it; it's jam packed, and the fact he does it every week is amazing. That he can get that much packed in there. That's superb, G-Chicken, superb.
Here.
I'd actually like to bring him, like, if he would be willing to sit and talk and give the, like, read it off every week. You know, that'd be cool. But anyway, I'll read it off if he won't. All right, you guys about ready?
Ready?
Red eye.
Okay, go ahead and get started by recording. Started recording by pushing that little red button up in the top left-hand corner. Welcome everyone to another Beyond Bitcoin BitShares Hangout. This is BitShares Hangout number 30, and today is Friday, July 21st, 2017. We're joined as always by the BitShares community for the open source agenda that we cover. As of a couple Hangouts ago, when we launched this newest open source agenda, we chose to do it in a way that allows the community to choose the topics, and for especially a focus on people who are trying to get things done in the BitShares ecosystem and might need funding using the worker proposals. The worker proposal system in BitShares works in such a way that the stakeholders can actually vote for workers. So we like to cover what workers or potential workers would like to do on the chain itself. So if you have something that you would like to build or do something that might add value to the BitShares chain and you believe that you can sell it to the community, please feel free to join the BitShares community here every Friday at 1 p.m. UTC. And there you can talk about your worker proposals or proposed worker proposals and get some input, some insight, and maybe some backing on getting paid to work for the BitShares blockchain. So with that said, we have these new open source Hangouts, and everybody has posted to the RSVP thread with various topics that they would like to have covered this week. But before I get into those, I would like to make it clear that every week I'm going to try to go over the BitShares State of the Network report by the person's account on Steemit is at SteamPower. I urge everybody who supports BitShares to join Steemit.com, head over to at SteamPower's account, and upvote these awesome posts that he does about the state of the network with all the coolest, newest things that are going on in the BitShares ecosystem every week. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through real quick in about 3 or 4 minutes, just give everybody a rundown on what's going on with the BitShares State of the Network report, and then we can get into all of the different RSVP topics for the day. Does that sound good with everybody else?
It does.
All right. Well, starting out first, BitUSD is still worth $1, $1 US. This should not be a surprise to anyone, as SteamPower likes to say. Peter Conrad at Cyrano had his first worker proposal accepted by the BitShares stakeholders. This worker proposal relates to the development. This worker proposal relates to the development and implementation of BSIP 0018, titled Revive Bit Asset through Buying of Settlement Pool, which we talked about at the last Hangout in quite a bit of depth for anybody who's interested. Michael X has released an article on Huffington Post titled Please Don't Change Bitcoin, You'll Break It. The article relates to Bitcoin, BitShares, the hero, and niches that each technology addresses. You can view the original article, or at Stan has also shared the content on Steemit. Ken Code this week has released the weekly update for the Smart Coins wallet, BlockPay, Ledger Nano S, Stealth, and BitShares Munich IVS. This week update sees 2 new developers enter the team focused on the Ledger Nano S integration and Stealth. Good things going on with that. Ronnie Bozing, CEO of OpenLedger, will be on the main stage at the State of Digital Money 2017 conference in Los Angeles, California, July 22nd, 2018. So join him over there. Ronnie Bozing has also announced upcoming share drops on Obits for holders of 5% of the following projects: Okash, eDev, GetGame, and AppTrade. There was also a mention of a Quora share drop in the next few days. Given the posting date of this article, looks to be another Quora share drop in addition to the one conducted 1 week ago. Obit voting is happening again. If you are an Obits holder, your personal username and password sent in the memo of a 1 BTS transaction from Obits voting. Check your wallet for the transaction and see the memo for your credentials. Virtual Growth has presented an idea last Whale Tank Hangout for the trading contest based on the BitShares network. Something worth looking into, everyone. Congratulations to Enrique and Robert Durst 10 on winning some BitShares swag from Rob Rigo and his BitShares raffle. This week has seen the BitShares Dex Telegram channel break 2,000 members mark and remains one of the most active channels in communication for the BitShares community. So head on over to Telegram, everyone. That is t.me/BitShares Dex. BitShares user Spike Spiegel has done a great job creating and maintaining the BitShares thread on Bitcoin Talk. You can see his work and show your support. Please do so. Dan Robles has introduced BitShares Steam EOS ecosystem to the engineers from the American Society of Civil Engineers. Dan has also been working for some time a digital currency called Quant, focused toward engineers to store value in infrastructure. For those of you who have been here for quite some time, you might know Dan. If you do not, it's worth looking into. Stan this week has mentioned a couple of quotes for the PR firm Digital Launch in relation to the Hero campaign. The time is now for us to strike without question. A little more organizing, we will go full force. The market is ours for the taking, and the market is ours for the setting. This is a perfect event for us to take advantage of. Thank you for that quote, Stan. Thav has created a unified graphene Discord server to join this channel and keep up with the news on all graphene chains. Virtual Growth is going to be doing a weekly market update and token giveaway. Check out his posts on Steemit, and you can upvote on your favorite asset and potentially win whatever is upvoted on for that day. And with that said, we will go ahead and we will talk real quick. There's the current registered wallets accounts within the BitShares network are 372,773, which is an increase of 11,467 wallets and accounts since last week alone. The last asset registered this week is number 1530, and it's named Timeshares, registered by Pocket Rocket 69 with no description. So with that said, we'll go ahead and let's move on to the agenda for today.
You dropped out, Fuzzy.
Are you there?
Gotcha.
Okay, so first on the agenda is going to be CM Steam, and he would like to be talking a little bit about the migrating and mirroring Bitcoin onto the BitShares DEX via a UIA snapshot and share drop. A very interesting proposal, something I think we can talk about for quite a long period of time today. So good topic. Worker proposal would be next for a GUI worker by Talkinator. The third is going to be joining BitShares witnesses by CS Steemit. Really quickly, he's just this is going to be a witness proposal, is what he posts here. And then I would like to talk a little bit about, after this, two different things that two different topics. One of which is going to be the worker proposal that we've been talking about for the blockchain is hiring advertisements on CoinMarketCap along with associated data, and then move on to really quickly, maybe if we have the time, covering the idea of ChainBB based BitShares talk forums that we have pretty much able to spin up very shortly now. So with that said, those will be the topics for today. CM Steam, would you like to talk a little bit about your proposal and give everybody kind of your thoughts, and then we can move into a community discussion about it?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give a bit of background on how this topic came up. So I was originally discussing the idea of like creating my own kind of graphene chain, and there being a slight lack of documentation on how to do the initial snapshot of an external blockchain, and then the issuance of that initial balance onto the new graphene chain, and that would require a lot of development to create your own blockchain, and so the idea was like perhaps we could do the same. Like, why couldn't we import a snapshot of an external blockchain into BitShares, and that way provide like an optional like emergency route in case, like, say you're maintaining a small market cap cryptocurrency or something like that, and you're having significant blockchain issues or something, with development being troublesome or whatever. You could use this route as like an emergency migration, so yeah, I wrote up basically an idea. We had a discussion on Telegram slightly about it, and then Stan came in, started talking about Bitcoin, and they kind of put two and two together. If there's going to be at least two splits of Bitcoin, right? Or well, there's going to be one split away Bitcoin Cash or whatever. Why not throw our own, user issued asset into the pile and like compare, the functional, the technological advancement of the BitShares network over the existing Bitcoin, clones, there being like 7 transactions a second versus 10,000 transactions a second. So I wrote up a Steemit post basically doing a brief kind of like background on the idea, how we go about doing it, whatever, and then Stan took it from there. And if you'd like to take on from there, Stan.
Well, there are some things, whose time has come. And when the aircraft was going to be invented, Langley and the Wright brothers were both out there thinking about it. And as you can see, sometimes that happens too. The idea of doing a pitchfork, dates back to the upgrade to BitShares 2.0, where instead of doing a hard fork and modifying the software incrementally, you just pitch the whole thing and replace it with something far better. And so the world's first pitchfork came when we upgraded to BitShares 2.0. And now coming around, we find the controversy that's been brewing in Bitcoin for, as long as I can remember practically, over upgrading has boiled over to the point where it could actually be that there are multiple versions or multiple different patches to Bitcoin that go their separate ways, like Ethereum split up over philosophical differences or whatever. But as soon as somebody does that, you got to ask the question, which one's legitimate? And what gives the two parties the right to modify the original Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever? Often it comes down to, whoever was working on it. But if you start having multiple development groups, one perhaps representing Bitcoin miners and one representing Bitcoin developers, and each of them develops a different set of code that wants it to be the official version, and they don't know their differences, but they split, then it immediately asks the question, well, why not 10 choices? And, what determines the choice? If, Bitcoin has its own mechanism for determining which is the official one within the context of the existing software, but that's kind of loading the deck. That's like having an election that says the only thing that's valid is, particular candidates that, have been selected by the current government. And that's kind of what's happening here. You can't be valid unless you're inside the existing software and making tiny incremental changes. But why not a pitchfork for Bitcoin? I don't want Bitcoin to break up. I've argued in that first post that you see here that Bitcoin's better if it can remain a single standard against which we compare. We need that in the industry as a way to, if nothing else, have something to trade against that's got great market depth. It doesn't have to, though, be used for payments. And if it tries to be all things to all people, it's going to break into a lot of different chains. So step one is to encourage Bitcoin not to break up, instead to use other things like BitShares and the Hero as its medium of exchange and let it focus on being the reference currency. Then it doesn't need higher transaction rates because it can just be stored in people's cold wallets or in exchanges and so on, and be used like digital gold, which is what it's supposed to be. But if they insist on breaking it up, then that's when we come out of the woodwork and offer something that's 8 orders of magnitude better and fixes all 12 of the problems that Bitcoin has. There we go.
It's kind of crazy that we're even having this discussion, Stan, but continue. You would think that this entire cryptocurrency ecosystem would have figured out by now what BitShares and Steem and all these graphene chains can do, like peer plays coming up. It's just...
Well, once they set the precedent that it's okay to fork Bitcoin and let the market decide which it's going to choose, just like Ethereum did. Let's fork it and see which one gets the bigger market cap. if Bitcoin endorses that by doing a split, then it's wide open for us to enter and say, well, all right, then here's our candidate, and let the market decide. And of course, we've got this big billion hero campaign going on, driving attention to BitShares with $1 billion giveaway. And there's absolutely no reason why we can't leverage that to promote both the hero Bitcoin United. And that means all the people we'll be bringing into the ecosystem are going to encounter their first version of Bitcoin as the Lightspeed version. And then they're going to learn in the process about the traditional Bitcoin and ask themselves, why do I want to go to that slow system? It's really nice here. So it is not ridiculous to think that by the time our billion hero campaign is over, we will not have more users of Bitcoin BTC-U, Bitcoin United, than the old system. And I think we can get to the point where that becomes the bit, and that's why we say united, because the only way to unite a broken chain is to simply outrun all the other chains, and we're the only ones that can do that.
I think it's a great idea. It's a massive recruitment opportunity for new users into the BitShares network, because in order to claim such tokens with their either their Bitcoin private key or through signing a transaction on the external chain, what have you, they'll have to get a BitShares client in the first place in order to retrieve it. So how many Bitcoin users are there that would like some free tokens? It's pretty cool.
And just dangle this little piece of bait out there, which I assure you we will. Everybody knows how back in the very early days of Bitcoin, a few smart people like Lee Silai gobbled up a lot of Bitcoin speculating that they might be worth something. And as a result of people like him speculating, Bitcoin started taking on value and people started competing over them. So don't get the idea that creating a token on the BitShares network will have no value. I think that to the extent that people come on and dump them, there'll be lots of BitShares people there ready to scoop them up before everybody else realizes that they have value. There'll be a competition for all those unwanted Bitcoins, and keep in mind that they'll be in very scarce supply initially, because they only become available as people discover this and come on to claim them. So we're talking about a new type of ICO happening for the successor to Bitcoin right on BitShares. Now just percolate that for a minute.
It's also worth noting that any such token on the BitShares network wouldn't have the associated costs of supporting miner expenses. The mining block rewards and fees would be significantly less, and also you could effectively fire the current Bitcoin team, like the core developers and stuff, because we've got our own developers and our own reserve pool. You don't have to worry about maintaining the blockchain. It's just its own token.
One thing. Sorry, Stan, but one thing that I don't know that everybody remembers that I think we should remember is we also have this little thing called Follow My Vote that was made back in the day for BitShares 1.0, but I'm sure it could be retooled to become like a polling engine for every different cryptocurrency's holders. So if you hold let's say you hold Bitcoin, this Bitcoin United, now we can even poll the Bitcoin community and say, this poll, or the community can poll each other, can create their own polls. And then we could even say stuff like, the 100% or 93% of the Bitcoin holders on the BitShares or Bitcoin United holders, they believe X, Y, and Z. We could start showing, and then you have people who are upset. Oh, that's not right. I'm not one of those people. I'll go on there and make sure I have my tokens on there to vote. You know what I mean? That might be another avenue just to add on there.
That's a very good point. There's lots of motivations for people to claim their shares, but I still predict it will be slow initially, because people will say, they'll try to say, this is just another altcoin clone, but it's not. The old clones, let's say Doggy Coin or something, they take the existing code and they don't add value. They just create a new coin and give it to new users. So it's got the same old coin and different users. We're just the exact opposite. We're a brand new powerhouse coin in performance, and we got the same owners as before. That's a huge difference in terms of adoption incentives. And as soon as, with all the ICO frenzies that are going on out there, if you think about the idea that locked up on our blockchain, Bitcoins matching every other Bitcoin user out there, but that most of them will remain locked up for a long time because people are slow to find out, and there's the not invented here crowd and the Bitcoin maximalist crowd, and a lot of big holders that are going to be reluctant or even hostile towards claiming theirs. And that means most of the supply is initially locked up, and those who see the potential value are going to be scrambling to buy up everybody who's dumping to get their hands on some super cheap Bitcoin. And that is going to make it take on a real price. Now, I don't claim it'll be the same price as Bitcoin initially. There'll be probably an order of magnitude gap in what the value is. But that's good enough to get it taken serious, just like Ethereum Classic versus Ethereum, right? They're struggling to knock it out. As soon as we get in a 10-to-1 ratio on price, we've won, because it's so much. It'll be called fast Bitcoin or slow Bitcoin, and that will bring traffic into BitShares and grow the whole thing. So I'm hoping the BitShares community will support the idea of putting in the Genesis block coins to be claimed by Bitcoin holders.
Just regarding that last bit you were talking about there. So you get your microphone on.
Sorry?
Yeah, just about the last bit there, the Genesis data without, well, basically the inclusion of new data in the Genesis block, you know, that would be like a mandatory update, but like it would be cool if we were able to, in the future, introduce new Genesis block data without affecting the previous Genesis block data, so as to not have it, you know, be a mandatory like hard fork upgrade every time, you know, so that not just we could do this not just for Bitcoin, but we could do it for many other alternative cryptocurrencies if they were to fail, you know, or even, you know, we could potentially construct a snapshot of like say 10 of the biggest cryptocurrencies to create a massive distribution, you know.
It's not really a Genesis block at that point, but you could call it like next gen, third gen, fourth gen of whatever the alternative coin you're adopting is.
Leave that for a discussion. For a discussion of the community. I don't want to dictate how that's done, but I think those are good ideas, and I think we have a little bit of time to get that, you know, everybody's head wrapped around it, because I think there will not be a fork, I think, on August 1st, and that gives us time until maybe November to talk about this and get the code in place. I'd love to have us ready so that the date that the fork happens, the snapshot is taken, and we have a mechanism in place, like you just suggested, to you know, quickly adopt it. Perhaps nothing more difficult than a file that has to be hosted on all of the witnesses that contains, you know, the new asset and who owns it. If we could do a patch like that would be file driven, you know, and once again, I'm way over my head in terms of the technical implementation, but that would allow us then to do what you're suggesting. As soon as the witnesses agree to incorporate a new asset with its owner list, we could distribute it by the old claiming mechanism, I think.
Yeah, sounds great to me, yeah. It's worth noting though, like, you know, the snapshot, like the sheer drop doesn't have to happen immediately on the date of a snapshot. I mean, like many projects that perform a snapshot perform their share drop months later, you know, so there's not an emergent, you know, an immediate need for the share drop, is what I'm saying.
And there might be a good reason to delay it too, because of speculation. You might want to minimize speculation at the transition point. So that might be a good reason why you don't want to tie the snapshot and the opening at the same time.
Well, if we could figure out the snapshot process, then we could just, keep running that and take like, historical backups of like the distribution of like, say, Bitcoin. And if any point in the future it does, hard fork unexpectedly or something, and this scenario unfolds, we would have like the most up-to-date snapshot. I don't know, just saying.
Sure, something like that.
All good ideas, like Stan says, thinking about this over time as we have time to deal with it and determine what the impact will be. Because, think of how big the Bitcoin network is and how much of an impact will that have on the witnesses' capability of having enough RAM to support it, et cetera, et cetera. Those are all considerations that need to be taken into account.
Good point. But keep in mind, guys, that Bitcoin is storing every conceivable snapshot for us. Every time there's a new block, that block number is a snapshot. So it's not like we have to do anything to have a snapshot.
Yep. Just grab the data. Well, I think that this is a perfect time to say we should maybe continue this discussion on Telegram and maybe revisit it next week as well. Does anybody have, if I give it like 2 minutes, does anybody have any final things to say about this topic?
Although it's true that the Bitcoin network itself is more or less a snapshot, as a ledger that we can make use of in terms of accounting, we still have to incorporate that into the BitShares network in order to get the benefits of the 3-second block time, et cetera. So that's where the performance penalties and the impact on BitShares will come into play. So all those things can be thought through as time goes on before we hit the absolute need for having these things worked out.
Well, I think it's a very interesting topic. It's very similar to something I had thought of a while back, but it was a separate chain. Bringing it onto the chain is a very interesting topic. And I know that, follow my vote. We have all these other things that people don't really think about, because every time you go out on CoinMarketCap, it's like you see a chain for each use case, right? But BitShares has intentionally had multiple different feature sets that you can utilize for different reasons, for different use cases. So we've always been seen as like this, been standing next to these one-dimensional blockchain infrastructures. And now we're in a space where people are starting to wake up to multi-dimensional aspects of blockchain infrastructure. And it's cool to see that we're at a place where now we can literally say, like what Stan's just said, it's important that everybody walks away, in my mind, with this one thing. Orders of magnitude. What did you say? 8 orders of magnitude?
That's right.
Take a second at some point in time to think about 8 orders of magnitude, everyone. That's huge compared to Bitcoin. And really, Ethereum, I think, is the one that's closest, or is it Dash that's closest? And they have like something like, it's like 28 transactions per second or something.
Yeah, I think it's Dash that's closer to Ethereum.
And we have sending to names. So the question really comes down to, is if you want mass adoption, which one are you going to be, which one's going to be the best one to put at the head of the pack to kind of be the spear, the spearhead. But with that said, thank you everybody for bringing up this topic. There's a lot that we can talk about on this one specifically. Next one would be worker proposal for the GUI worker. Talkinator, would you like to talk about that for a couple minutes?
Sure, just for a couple of minutes. I think it would be interesting to discuss and promote within the community support for another worker to support GUI development or enhance the current GUI or possibly alternate GUIs for different users or user types within the environment. And there have been different discussions about different users, such as traders or simply people who want a simple wallet to hold different assets and on different platforms. So there have been these discussions about different interests to different people. And I just want to promote this and to see whether we can garner support for such a worker, and actually and whether anybody else might want to step in and actually lead that effort. So that's just my general call out to the community to get some support for it and for a worker like we had.
I think that would be very valuable. I know that there are things that I can do with whale shares and beyond bits. There are people who are working for me, who are deving for me for these things. So I can start talking to some of these people who just so happen to be. I've been so lucky to meet some of the most bad dudes when it comes to front end stuff, and they're working on stuff for whale shares as we speak. So there's a lot of stuff that I think that we need to do. One of which is going to be connecting the decks to these forums. And there's a reason for me to want to try to help build those out. So if anybody would like to create a worker, I'll also pay you guys some Beyond Bit tokens so you can upvote the stuff that you're working on and post it to Steam and really log all your work at the same time. So just to piggyback on you talking, Ader, I think I can help leverage that to help us as an addition, is my point.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, the GUI is so important, everybody. We want it to be as easy for users as possible, and it's not even still easy for me at times. And I've had to dig into it quite a bit at times, right? And I'm sure that there are many people here who are even more knowledgeable than me who have had times where they're like, what's going on here? These little types of things will be helpful, but user experience, I agree, is probably number one. But we do have some cool things coming up on that one. Does anybody have any questions or comments or points that they'd like to bring up about this with Talkinator?
Just a quick question. With regards to like UI, would it be continuing using like React.js, or would it be like looking for alternative implementations, like different libraries or whatever?
On the technical side, I think that can really be up to either the developer or developer team or teams that might come about and propose. And I think this touches a little bit on there's no one good answer. Different members of the community are looking for different interfaces, and they will disagree with each other. They are disagreeing with each other about which type of interface should be done first. So there is no one answer. And I think it's just going to be a question of who will be able to step forward and get financed to develop a particular type of interface. And I think then separately touches on your point, which is what's going to be the appropriate technical implementation to achieve that. So I think that will depend on who steps forward.
Cool.
I agree 100%, and it's also true that the technology is secondary, and what you implement a particular application in is secondary to the application itself. It's a matter of productivity. If you can get a job done quickly for a whole totally different platform, language, etc., then that'd be the way to go. But that's up to the development team, the people that are putting in work a proposal to do that type of work to decide. It's not up for us to dictate it. But if I was looking at it, I would say, look at this huge body of code that's already been developed in React.js. Would it make sense to try and use that or not? It really depends on the goals that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and each use case is different, right? Because like we were talking about before, I mean, we could literally have a wallet that is made to mimic Qt for Bitcoin users, just for this Bitcoin United. This is possible to have it where it's just a token wallet, just like everybody's used to. It looks the same, works maybe a little bit more fluidly since Qt is kind of old, but have it where you're sending two names now. And it shows you like how fast the transaction took. Like, bam, it only took 3 seconds, or bam, it took 1.5 seconds. Like, show it, like be proud of it. We could even have something like a simple user interface just like that for people who are afraid as hell when they look at this huge DEX that they walk into. Keep it something that we could even keep it something that simple is my point. It opens those types of opportunities for us.
Definitely. And then you also have, related work, such as, for example, being done by Ken Code, where highlighting particular wallets on an Android platform, and that's being done technically in a completely separate way. So there are many different approaches.
Good point. Yeah, Ken's works, it speaks for itself.
I'd like to make a comment that I don't think that the UI needs to be simplified. I think it needs complicated.
Well, it could
Okay,
be
how
for
so?
for specific
Yeah,
users.
that's a pretty major comment there.
Well, it's become abundantly clear to me in working with traders that the DEX is sorely lacking in the typical tools that a trader uses. They're going to the central exchanges because they're being given all the types of tools that a trader uses in their day-to-day trading. But when they come to the DEX, they got nothing. So they try it out. They see everything, like they see the markets. There's already been complaints about how it's laid out. But besides that, they have no tools to work with whatsoever. So they see that, and then they just go and find some other place to work with.
Well, there are charting libraries and packages that we can incorporate. That's been proposed, so it's licensing issues, but it's a matter of the developers that are willing to take that role on, that have some expertise in those types of things, that are willing to take that on. But I think it's quite possible. But what you're describing is I think different wallets to address different needs are the appropriate way to address the complaints that I've heard about the GUI so much. I'm not a trader, so I definitely heard the same comments you just did, Jonathan, about needing more tool complexity for traders. But for people that don't trade, they don't want all that complexity. So that's why I think it's very clear that we need to have more than one type of wallet for different audiences.
Agreed. And I think then in that case, in the case of traders, I think what Jonathan's comment is appropriate.
Absolutely.
Definitely. 100%. My point, though, is definitely that there are not people out there like that. I agree 100% on that. I think what most people are saying, though, is like the newbies, the masses, not the hardcore traders who the newbies will rely on as our foundation. We're going to be providing liquidity for the newbies. But the newbies kind of get like to have that DEX as the funnel where the landing spot where the funnel takes them might be a bit daunting, right? Is kind of my point. So mostly what you're talking about, Thomas, is like different use cases and different user interfaces for each one and for the demographics, because we can cover the entire spectrum. Why not, right?
Well, yes, but it's a matter of time and development effort. I mean, how many people do we have working on the GUI right now? Not very many. I mean, hardly any. I mean, SBK is very busy with other things. So in order to take that effort of building all these variations of GUIs that will meet the needs of an audience, that's a tough nut to crack as we stand right now, but it's certainly quite possible. We have the resources, we have the financial resources to fund that type of thing. We just need to get the talent that is willing to do it.
Okay, so real quick, does anybody have anything that they'd like to talk about with this, or can I really quick move into something that is specifically with relation to this? Which is
sounds good to me.
Is it okay with you, Thomas? Because you were the one.
Absolutely. No, go ahead, Fuzzy. You go ahead.
Well, the only reason I'm trying to bring it this way is because I've been telling people for a long time I need DKP. And it's frigging awesome to have DKP. Let me tell you.
What is DKP?
It's drag and kill points. When I would run these frigging guilds with 500, 600 people in them that would run around playing, and some of the guilds got bigger than that, but I mean active, But we would have something where instead of herding cats with nothing to really herd them with, I would be able to herd the cats to go together, to go on like 40-man raids is what they would call them, and do things together that otherwise they could never get done. They have to have 40 people collaborating and cooperating. And we created the gaming community created something called DKP, Dragon Kill Points, points that your guild would give out for doing amazing things, and you would have officers who would distribute them to people who were helping out in the guild. And essentially, what Bytemaster helped me accomplish, and well, all of you guys really, between BitShares and Steam, is that we created whale shares and we created Beyond Bits, and they're worth upvotes, which pay you, right, and make you trend so other people can see that you're doing stuff. So if you're doing really good work where you might otherwise never be noticed, get upvoted by using these tokens, so you guarantee getting paid, but you also guarantee that you're going to get seen by more eyeballs because of the upvotes, and that you're probably going to get other people upvoting you if it's good content and if it's really like good stuff that you're doing. So where I'm going with that is we're able to start. I have front end people who are working on the banner campaign for us, which is the BitShares is hiring, or the blockchain is hiring, is I think the way that we're going to go with it. I'm going to do a banner competition for people to from the community to earn rewards for making the best banners. And we're going to try to run this worker proposal for these people who created the form for us. They're creating the form right now. It's got milestones were added last week. So now in this form, whenever you click on the banner on CoinMarketCap or wherever else we choose, you go to this form and you enter your information. Now you don't have to do anything to put in a worker proposal for yourself or anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm most likely going to talk to Xerox and let those worker proposals go to him, or the BitShares Foundation that they're running. But that's going to be until we have other BitShares foundations set up too. So we'll have it go eventually to a mailing list of them, right? But with that said, we can get front-end development done because we have these developers who I'm already paying with Beyond Bits for whale shares, and I have this going on. So now, take into account all that, we're going to potentially have forums, right? And I have a very big incentive to work with these people who are working on the forum for the CoinMarketCap ad. I've already talked to them behind the scenes. They want to improve the GUI. They want to improve the user experience on the wallet. They have experience doing this type of stuff. And what I'm thinking we're going to do is we're going to have the forums, right? We will start out with, let's say we start out with Hero Talk forums. And we have the BitShares decks in there. Like CM Steam, Custom I Love You, how he white labeled everything so you can make it so you can I love that laugh. But we could essentially have it where there's a hero forum, a hero dex directly built in, where you can click and go to the hero dex, and hero is the primary token. It's all flavored with hero based imagery and colors. And now I want to go to Dash's forums and go to their decks within there, and maybe Bitcoin United, right? So we all have a hell of an incentive, is my point, to work on getting this stuff done and getting this user interface better and in a place where it's easy, like maybe it's not, there's no such thing as easy to use, because even the best exchanges I know of they have a learning curve, but to have things like this where it's boiled down to the basics and people can trade community tokens, I think we have a winner. You know what I mean? A pretty hell of a synergistic winner.
Yep, that vision is really beautiful.
Fuzzy, is this what you were mentioning to me? Because you hadn't really said that much.
Alex, you are one of the people I have reached out to. And Alex, would you like to speak up? Because while they're talking about all this stuff with the decks needing certain tools, you have a lot more experience than most of us in this area, and you're also pretty fluent in development in this area, right?
Well, I don't know if you saw what I wrote back to you, but that was a little bit, just to make the point. Like you saw, I sent you that link where they're trying to raise like $30 million to put together a wallet. And it's not to say that they're probably just trying to milk for Ethereum a bit and such, but these are not necessarily. Sorry.
Of course, you're 100% right.
So like the way you kind of had written it, like, oh, you want to work on this a little. It's like, this is a big effort, and these people alone want to have 5 or 6 or 7 developers, working on it probably full time or whatever they're trying to do. Now, I don't know on what level you are, and you and I have talked. We both have certain bigger ideas on things, which are actually include something like that at one point. But I don't even like necessarily the term wallet, because actually they're talking about a wallet, and wallets are relatively simple next to what I think you and I more have in mind. And then when I heard you talking about just the whole decks and such, I mean, look, I spent years building my Timora Pro here, which is basically technically it does probably everything a trader would want to do, but I hadn't been comfortable even putting the BitShares stuff in there for a variety of reasons. So that's if anything, maybe it's something more like a simple kind of interface, and I do realize all the issues. I mean, the other one I still have to finish writing about with the being able to pay more for the offer than it's the bids and the offers aren't matching up. So there's that issue, which I actually think is on the blockchain side, not on the GUI side. I had talked with Virtual Growth about that and pretty much confirmed it at this point. I just and I even went through all the BitShares code. I sort of got sidetracked with the last thing I just released yesterday. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's that's a kind of a whole other issue that needs to be dealt with first also.
These types of topics, Alex, would be perfect to bring to these hangouts, just so you know, because you have a lot of knowledge in the space, so you might as well say it, right? Now, what I will say is, from what I gathered from you with response to my question, was that it's a big job. There's a lot to do. And my response to that is, we have hundreds of millions of dollars almost. We've got 100+ million. I think we can afford to get that DEX GUI interface looking better. We can pay people pretty well from the community who are highly competent and proven themselves to oversee other people who are highly competent to do that. You know what I mean? And pay them for God's sake, right? Let's not make it charity work. Let's make these people have voting power in our ecosystem, because it's not just money. It's also voting power, so they can vote on better things for us. But
Here.
Yeah, Talkinator, I think that the GUI worker is a very important one, and I'm biased for obvious reasons, right? But I think
it's many people in the community are looking for it.
Well, maybe we should really focus on trying to get workers for that. I mean, we can do outreach to places like freelancer sites and stuff. There are so many people from other countries on freelancer sites that if we went there and just talked to people and met them and said, hey, we're going to be doing competitions on Steemit, I think a bunch of people would come along and test their mettle, Steemit hackathons for whale shares and beyond bits and EOS bits that I just created.
Yeah, something along the lines of the hackathons or bounties are an interesting idea.
Well, what's funny is actually that's what I had mentioned. What I sent you that I made yesterday. I mean, that's basically a form of a hackathon, but that was the whole point. I don't even think people really realize what it is that I released to a full extent. And someone actually was writing because I had mentioned about talking about it at the Hangout, and they're saying, well, it's not really BitShares related, so you maybe talk about it after. But from what I've been hearing, a lot of I mean, it's not always directly related to BitShares. There's actually been many presentations, certainly lately. Maybe I don't know about before the last few months that are not directly related to that. But basically what it lets people do now is it gives everyone down to like 72 SP a slider, but not just like chain BB or something. It gives it directly in the Steam interface. Plus, it lets you actually monetize posts that are already past payout. All you need to have is like if the authors commented already, anytime recently, it'll actually automatically target that comment, and the whole post becomes monetizable again. Because it's like you probably notice, like if you vote on a post or you vote on a comment, it's about the same payout, if not the same. So this basically opens up all the older content. You can you come across something, whether it's music or a great project or something, 7 days after the payout, you can still reward the author for any of those things, as long as they're still actively commenting on those threads. And I think people just don't realize how that sort of changes a lot of the dynamics, as that's further developed.
Especially when mixed with forums.
Exactly. It's I mean that's why I was mentioning to you, because talking from some people, I think they haven't even gotten past the slider part. So maybe I just put too much on the plate at once there, and people aren't just fully understanding it. It's like seeing some weird sparkly thing there. I'm not saying every idea obviously is fully developed, but like I put out a little shout out to Furion and Steam Q, and I said this basically helps you address most of the issues with monetization and paying off the bandwidth the streaming providers.
Yeah.
Because and just think of it, like you can keep voting up on comments, but at the same time, let's say no one's interested anymore in that content, but someone comes along and looks at it. Sorry, we're out of money to show this to you, but just give us a small upvote and we're back online again. And then everyone starts getting paid out again, even if the post is a year old. And now you can see the video again, or listen to the song, or whatever it is. And it doesn't even require any change right now on Steem's part on the blockchain. It might be nice if they streamlined it a bit, but right now the way it works, as long as they don't remove that feature, it's there right now. And that's what I put out, an exact concept.
Why don't you? I'll connect you up with Jesta, because I would like to see that on the forums. And I'll also say, I'll just add this in because it makes me giddy to see all these tools finally getting done. Not only is ShareBits eventually going to be able to work on all these forums, but we're going to have a news site template, that the Beyond Bitcoin site. I almost got scammed for 15K early on getting it built, but I never gave up on it. And it's popping up now where we're going to be able to have a news site that shows what's trending on the forums directly on the news site. So if you are part of our forums, it'll post all the trending stuff to a news site, so you can just go to the news site if you can't get to the forums and see what's the basic stuff that's going on in the ecosystem. So
right, and actually ChainBB works that way too, right? It's putting the it bases it on the more recent comments and then puts those up at the top too, right?
Oh, I don't know how he does it from behind the scenes. That's a good question. I'll have to find out.
From what I remember, that's actually part of it. It's like it looks for active commenting, So I mean, technically, it's actually in a way, it's not so different because it's putting up those comments. Mine is sort of like a twist because it's actually, it's still letting you vote the post based on an author's comments. But I think that sort of, if I recall correctly, it's just always looking for fresh content. So it is refreshing the older stuff as well, as long as it's still relevant and popular.
Well, I'll say this. This is something that is definitely something I'm interested in because it does help BitShares, especially if we have the DEX interface in the forums. I mean, imagine being at BitShares Talk, or potentially the new BitShares Talk, which is another topic that we can bring up real quick. We can create BitShares Talk with Steam as the back end using ChainBB, where everybody earns money for posting to the BitShares blockchain. We can do it right now. I could have it done today if everybody really wanted it. So I would urge everybody to consider it and talk with people about it too. But we can have that. We can have the DEX in there. Imagine being able to go into the DEX directly from that site, and it actually shows you all the tokens, the primary token pairings that maybe the committee signed off on. These are the ones that we believe are not scams, or the ones that we believe are, or we find some governance system where the community says, okay, this is going to be part of this DEX. And you actually have communities that can say, okay, watch out for this token on our DEX, watch out for this one. But you have a DEX. It's a limited DEX. It's not the open ledger where it's everything. But that's what a lot of people want, is just a limited set of choices.
Go ahead, finish.
No, I was just saying a lot of people want a little bit less complexity where they don't create their own markets, for instance, things like that. If we have forums, a DEX, and a news site that goes along with it, and tipping of various tokens from BitShares, we can bootstrap entire communities for to be using BitShares for their own stuff, right? And then I'll add on to it the voting and stuff, like the polling, like we were talking about before.
Well,
yep.
Sorry, I keep cutting out, thinking you're stopping. Go ahead.
Could we bring this part of the discussion to a close, since we're really short on time? Talkinator mentioned that we need to touch on a couple of other things before we wrap up, and we're getting close to the very end either.
Yeah, sure. I'll just wrap it up by saying, Alex, I'm just wanting you to think about the fact that you could get probably paid pretty well to do what you're doing by the BitShares community.
Well, that hasn't really been my primary motivation, just to be paid straight up like that.
I know, but I'm more on the.
Yeah, I'm more like well, we've talked about that, but and I just want to say on the flip side, that's like someone had mentioned it needed to be more complicated. Well, that's actually where my platform comes in, but I think that's just way over the top for what you need. If anything, I think you need something simpler right off the bat. And just to throw in one last quick thing, is I think that it's shoot, I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Well,
I'll say
it's just the perfect time. Yeah, it's the perfect time for us to go ahead and move to what Talkinator would like to cover. But before I do that, I'll say that SC Steemit is planning on running a witness for BitShares. I would urge you to check out his account at SC Steemit, or SC-Steemit on Steemit.com. You can look at his witness proposal there where he posted it. You can upvote it to support him, and just make sure that you check it out and see what's up with that, if you agree with it or not. Now, with that said, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, no.